D-tanking. Actually, this is F-tanking. F-tanking. So Lord says walk up to the choke. The enemy's on the northwest side. We're here on the southeast side. So as the F-tank, we're postured up here. D-tanks the mouth of the choke here, right? Not really riding too much more mid. Engage tanks just off to the sides. MDPS off to the sides. Another engage tank probably over here-ish. MDPS probably over here-ish. Supports playing scattered out around here with the healers and the RDPS. These houses are in the way. It'd be a big fat crescent like this. So this is mouth of choke for D-tanks, and this is the crescent for everyone else, right? So you can get over here in other circumstances. This choke kind of sucks to get over. So then this is pretty much the back crescent for the front crescent. Right, so D tanks in this crescent, engage tanks off to the side, MDPS just off the the engage tanks, RDPS just outside of that in the crescent here, and healers spiced in, and supports in the short subs, supports in the short subs, so they can hit here, hit here, hit here, hit here, you know what I mean? But nothing in the dead zone over top of the tanks, right? So the healers just behind the tanks, but nothing in the dead zone in the middle, so everyone's in a crescent off to the sides. Alright, so flank tank, he's off to the side, the flank of the party, right? So I'd be walking back like this probably, something like this, back and forth, looking this way for the flank, or I'll also wrap around to the other side depending on what's going on my screen, on my mini map, or what's going on my regular map, and what's going on through comms. Right, so I'd be walking back and forth on the flank on this side, or I'd be catching flank on the other side. So that way nobody can run into our flank and destroy us, or backline us straight up from the back. Right, so the flank is covering pretty much the flank. So you probably be going like this if you're really unsure, back and forth, or if you're posted up on a side, like Lord goes in and he says, hey, like posture up on this choke, and I want the flank on the east, right? Or a D tank on the east. So the flank goes to the east, and he goes, okay, I'm here, I'm gonna hold this down in the team speak. So he's holding it down over here. So if there's an enemy coming in from, let's say, directly this direction, I'm gonna use my E at some point to stop them. My E goes straight across, right, or sorry, straight out in a very long line. So if I'm going to cover this area, it would be in my best interest to cover like this on a diagonal off to the side, right? So I cover this whole area, and so if they walk into it, they get hit. So what is this E? This E is 18 meters long, knocks back any enemy that touches the jets, and it increases your mob threat. So anybody who touches the jets get thrown back, right? So that's going to be the Night Helm. It's a movement ability, so the Night Helm is going to be the one that stops it from happening. So the enemy is walking in, they pop their Night Helms, the last thing you're going to do is use your E, right? So instead of that, you'll use the root. If the enemy walks in, and they walk in through here, and they pop their Night Helms, then you hit them with the root, right? So now they got to use their cleanses to get through here. They are going to use their cleanses, and they're going to use their boots. So now they're cleansing and booting into the Duskweave, right? So they're being held down. At this point in time, you can choose to go along to one of the sides and hit straight across. They'll be knocked back, right? Their Night Helms have worn down. You've now snared them into place after the Night Helm was procced, so they had to use their cleanses. Then you stop the boots from being procced because you hit them with the Duskweave, and then you hit them with the E, knocking them back. But what if they got another Night Helm, they're still walking in? You hit them with the follow-up Judy Helm, right? So then as you do that, you're hitting with the silence pools in between to try to mitigate them being able to cast anything the whole time. They can use a cleanse on top of the silence pool, and it cleanses the silence pool, just a heads up. Okay? So when you go to cast your roots, the knockback not so much is a big deal because it just knocks them back already, but the root itself will be increased. So if the enemy walks in here, you boot in and you use your snare, right? And now they're held down, you start walking it back and you see them using their boots, or you just want to slow them, walking it back, walking it back. Now you're using your E across the line, walking it back, walking it back. You get your Judy helm. I would have had my Judy helm up, right? And you're using silences in between. That's all you can do for your team, right? And the longer you can stretch between the time you use these and hold the enemy down from that side, you can actually fully interrupt their engage, or you can route them so bad that we can get our CCs, or sorry, our CDs back up, and we can go and engage full into them, and then run through them so that these guys, when they come in, we don't have to be sandwiched. Yeah. Also, the F-Tank, if called or saw that there's nothing on flank, they can come up into shortstop, into midline, like this. The thing is that they have to be able to go back to the flank as soon as possible. So at any time that something comes up to the flank, you got to be able to keep it on the flank. So I'm going to be rotating kind of like back out towards the flank so I can see what's going on. So the enemy walks in through the choke, I look and I slam them and I go back to the side, right? The enemy's still walking in, so I can help them with this. Right, I go back to the side, I see a couple dust weaves down, okay, now there's someone coming in from this side. I don't have everything, so I'm just going to lock them up with this, right, I walk back, they're bootsing, I dust weave, and I hope to silence them, hopefully my snare's back, and I just hit them down like that. Anytime you're being engaged on, or you're starting like holding this, holding this, holding this, and you're getting down to 60, you got to keep walking it back so you can meet up with the healers, but try not to walk right on top of them or right on top of anyone else because you're going to be clapped with all of our friends, right? And if you have to, you get clapped, you have to use your gig or res pot and get close to a healer, but not on top. The healer will keep you held down so you can stay kind of around here instead of standing right on top of them. Yeah, so if comfortable and nothing's on the flank, then you would just play up and you would drop the silence pool like an engaged tank, and then you would just play back like a D tank and be always ready to go back to our flank, right? So if we pull off east, we all start going east. Say you're over here. All right, flank tanks hold the north, D tanks hold the north as we walk out east. So we're all going to come out, walk out east. A D tank's going to come with me, walk out east, while you walk in and you hold this for me, right? The enemy looks to walk in, so you start doing your shit, right? Yeah. And so if we walk out and I need someone, like there's an engage coming from down here, flank tank hold the southwest, right? D tank, flank tank hold the southwest. You have to always stay in reference to our Zerg as they're walking away though, because if you don't stay in reference to a healer, this enemy is going to try to hold you down and not let you get back to your healer. You need to get back to your healer. But you can't walk on top of the healer, so you got to be kind of doing all this interruption, mitigation stuff. One big one that's nice is that say you were walking east to kite from enemy west, so I'm walking east to kite from enemy west. Usually guys will put their silence pool back here, right? And that's okay depending on the time. But what if somebody's right on top of you, right? So if someone's right on top of you, right on top of you, right on top of you, just go this way and walk over the silence pool, right? Instead of putting it behind you, right? And then running away. I'll probably add more to it. I'll settle for that.